have seen on the positive side, at least at the school that I'm at currently, that folks are really trying to have that work-life balance and saying,
Mhm.
it's 3:45. It's time for me to go home, even if X, Y, and Z hasn't been completed. Now, that's a delicate balance because
Right.
remember, our end product is children. So we have to
Mhm.
make sure if, the to-do list items are not ones that are going to cause harm to children.
Of course.
But I do feel like there's a culture here of really holding one another accountable to actually prioritize. This is the first place I've been at where people are not emailing over the weekend.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my guest today is Melody Maitland. Melody is the Director of Student Services, and she is at Capital City Public Charter School, and she is at the middle school, and she is located in Washington, D.C. Melody, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit, Melody, about your background and about the school that you work at. We'd love to hear about it.
Great. So I've been at this current school for the past 3 academic years. Previous to that, I was at a different charter school in the district, and I was a founding team member both as their director of student support services and then their chief of staff. Senior leadership wasn't the place for me because I really wanted more direct interaction with both students and staff. I came back to being a director of student services. Previous to that, I was a special education teacher, also in DC. And I originally went to school to become a social worker, community practice social worker. Different life events led me to education, and I'm really glad to still be in the special education world, especially because right now, post-COVID, post-pandemic, we've had a lot of special education leaders leave the
Yeah.
field, at least in DC specifically.
Right. Yeah. It's been a challenge for sure. For sure. So tell me a little about Capital City.
Yeah, sorry, I should have said
No,
that.
no, you're okay. That's my
Capital
job. It's my
Yeah,
job.
Capital City Public Charter School is actually in their 25th year, so
Oh,
that's
nice.
really excited. It was the first parent-founded public charter school in DC. We serve a little over 1,000 students from pre-K to 12th grade. We are all in the same campus, the lower school, middle school, and high school. We're an EL education school, formerly called Expeditionary Learning. We really believe in hands-on learning, kids doing field work, and just being able to apply their learning. And the other big piece of that is character development. So we have what's called habits of scholarly activists, really trying to build what in the special education world we would call like executive functioning skills,
Right.
making sure that's more of a um, tier one practice. It's
Very
a
nice.
great school to be at, and great to be at a school that's had so many years because not a lot of DC charters can say they've been around this long.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. So you go, is it pre-K or do you start at kindergarten?
Pre-K.
Pre-K to 12th grade?
Yep.
Very nice. Very, very nice. That's fantastic. Well, tell me, we talked a little bit before the podcast started about staffing. Let's talk about staffing and what your thoughts are because it's something that every single educator has to deal with at some point in their career. So let's
Yeah.
talk about how you deal with it and what your philosophies are.
Yeah, so hiring as a hiring manager, things have definitely changed. Pre-COVID, there was just a bigger pool of teachers, especially special education teachers. At that time, you had a pick of many different special educators who had master's degrees in the field and experience. Post-pandemic, as we saw in DC and across the nation, just an exodus from teaching. And you'll see in a lot of the literature and research that special education was especially hit hard. So it's been really challenging to navigate how do we balance capacity building with ensuring like our students get quality support from the beginning.
Right. Yeah. And so what have you done? What have you done
Yes,
to help?
I'm a big proponent of capacity building, whatever I have, whatever I came into, and retention. So when I first came to this school specifically, well, I first have to say I'm in a very lucky position because I have the right number of staff that I need. I'm not in a position where I'm just like, I do not
You're
have.
not in a deficit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm not in a deficit. I have 16 amazing special education teachers. I also have 2 case managers that do all the compliance stuff so my teachers can
Good.
focus on instruction.
Well,
And
that's
then
nice. Yeah.
I know, it's like a dream. So,
Right. Mm-hmm.
plug if anyone wants to come here. We also have positions open in the lower and the high school.
There you
Middle
go.
school has no positions open because, like I said, our team is a really great community, but part of it is making sure that folks have that support, have the coaching, know that
Mm-hmm.
they're going to grow, whether that be into the best special educator possible or a special education leader or a principal or whatever like they want to do in the future. The hardest part has been the experience piece. How much, when I first was here, I was like, oh no, I can't hire someone that doesn't have a master's of special education. So I really had to change my philosophy about what am I looking for when I interview? Is it the stuff on the paper or
Mm-hmm.
is it the vibe that I'm getting, the soft
Right.
skills?
Yeah.
And I think
Oh,
the
yeah.
biggest issue for me is mindset. Is this a person that has a growth mindset and is willing to grow? And if I can see that, I want you on my team to build you up with the other special educators so that we can have the best team possible. But it really is a team thing, not an individual teacher.
Right. Yeah, that's great. One of the things we do at Lighthouse is everybody gets a mentor. No matter how long you've been a therapist, you get a mentor because, whether you've done teletherapy or you've done a hybrid model or you haven't or you've been in pediatrics but you've never been in schools or whatever the situation is, we never want anybody to feel like you're out on an island. And when you do teletherapy, it can be isolating because, you're logging in all the time and sometimes you're the only one home. So it can be. And so we always we always make sure we have somebody for them to reach out to answer questions. We always tell people too, there's no stupid question here. The only stupid question is when you don't ask. So ask the questions, right? So I think you and I get that philosophy the same. We
Yeah.
want good people. We want people because ultimately the ultimate goal is the student, right? It's the
Yes.
kids. That's what we're here for. We're here to service the kids. And if you hire good people that love the kids and can love on the kids and help them, yeah, then that's half the battle. That's half the battle for
I
sure.
would say that's like 80% of the battle.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It is more than half the battle. You're absolutely right. And the rest of it can be taught. You can learn how to do the rest of it, right? But you have to have that compassion piece and you have to have that love for learning and for teaching. And as a therapist, a love for the discipline that you're working on. So I totally get it. And it matters. It really matters. So for sure, that's fantastic. Tell me, what would you consider, other than staffing, one of your biggest challenges? What are your other challenges that you're up against right now?
My biggest challenge too relates to staffing,
Mm-hmm.
but more in a philosophical sense, because like I said, I am in a really lucky position that I do have the staffing that I need. But what I've experienced at previous schools and also with some of my colleagues in the field is this idea that if we just put a body on the problem, it will solve it. And I think that's why
Mm,
we're seeing an increase in dedicated aides, paraprofessionals, because it's like, oh, this kid has a behavior issue. Like, let's just have an adult follow them all day. So for me, I've really been trying to figure out how do we build program quality. So for example, this year, when I look at lesson plans for all of my teachers, I'm looking at specially designed instruction. I have a quality indicators checklist that I did not make up myself, but from Maryland Friend, specifically around co-teaching, because almost all of our classes are co-taught, even though
oh,
we do have
nice.
the full spectrum of services. So really trying to put systems in place to grow folks and to help them build the skills instead of feeling like, okay, if there's a problem, then someone else needs to come fix it. I just think that we're still shifting that focus. And I also think it's because I think we've gone past this, but I would say 10 years ago when I started, there was this notion that special education was a place,
Mm,
not a set of services. And so if
right.
you change that mindset, then it's like, okay, well, how do I make sure those services are high quality? And then the other piece of it is I feel like a lot of my colleagues are so hyper focused on compliance and not program quality. But if you reverse it and you have great program quality, your compliance is going to be right? And then everyone's gonna have less headaches, especially in DC where it's a very litigious environment for special education specifically.
Yeah, for sure. And what do you do to help keep your staff from burning out in their positions? What kinds of things do you do for that? Because it does happen, right?
Yeah, I think for us, like I said, where we have a lot of staffing. So, for example, our special educators have the same co-teacher all day, one prep. Their
Nice.
outside specially designed instruction to collect IEP data is built into their schedule. Their common planning is built into their schedule. So they're not having to do these dual roles that a lot of special educators across the country and when I was trained had to do, which is be a case manager and a teacher. So being able to focus on instruction, I think, is a big reason why teachers continue to come back to our school
Right.
instead of look for other places to call home. For me specifically, my own philosophy is high support, high accountability. I'm going to help provide the tools, but also at the end of the day, I'm going to hold you accountable because, like you said, we're here for kids. We are not here for egos. We're not here to make people feel good. We're here to make sure kids, especially our most vulnerable, have access to high quality services.
Nice. That's really important. I think that's true. One of the other things that somebody touched on, I was talking to someone else today, is staff mental health. I know we've talked so much about student mental health, especially since the pandemic, but staff mental health too. So what kinds of things are you seeing, positive or negative, when it comes to mental health in today's 2025?
Yeah, I think burnout is a big thing. And I have seen on the positive side, at least at the school that I'm at currently, that folks are really trying to have that work life balance and saying,
Hmm.
it's 3:45. It's time for me to go home, even if X, Y, and Z hasn't been completed. Now, that's a delicate balance because
Right.
remember, our end product is children. So we have to
Hmm.
make sure if, the to-do list items are not ones that are going to cause harm to children.
Of course.
But I do feel like there's a culture here of really holding one another accountable to actually prioritize. This is the first place I've been at where people are not emailing over the weekend. There's not a culture of emailing at night. And so if you get an email at night or a weekend, you know it's something very urgent.
Hmm.
You're more willing to check it and look at it. So there's that culture. The other piece, at least for my team, is that team piece. Like we actually do outings together and have inclusion nights. In fact, last
Nice.
Friday, we went to a baseball game together. So just
Hmm.
building that community. And that way, when people need support too, it's not all on me.
Right.
I'm one person, right? And then I have like 20 something direct reports. I want people to rely on each other and also see the expertise that each person is bringing to our team. I don't hold all the knowledge. I'm still learning too as a special educator. So we just need to help support each other. So one of the things initiative and pilots that I've started for this quarter 4 of this school year is peer coaching. So my 5 top teachers in terms of instructional practices, data, who are really growing kids have gone through like this coaching institute with me and are now coaching 1 to 2 of their peers. And
Nice.
it
That's
has really
fantastic.
just lifted people's spirits. It's really refreshing and they're feeling like they're becoming better teachers as well. So just trying to figure out what could we build to make sure there's community, but also that accountability piece too. And
Yeah.
work-life balance. How do we measure and balance all of those things?
Yeah, it's a lot of different things all at the same time, but all good things, all good things. It sounds like your teachers are very blessed to have you and to have you as leading them, which is so, and when you do it as a team, I always say, we the same thing here. It's like when I started my business, I always tell people it's like spinning plates, like you think of a juggler and all of these different plates that you spin. And over the last 7 years, I've been able to give most of those plates to somebody else, but I'm still the CEO. I'm still the boss. So, you trust but verify and you take care of people and you want to hear. And because we're all over the United States, we can't go on outings like you guys do, but we do every Monday. We get together and we like work news, but also your best personal news. What's happening in your life? We pray together. We do things together. We make sure that we put people before anything else, right? And that it sounds like the exact same thing, and it works, and it's helpful. And when you love what you do and you're able to come to work and know that people have your back, it matters. And it sounds like your team, you've got their back and they've got yours, and that's
Yeah.
fantastic,
The
absolutely
trust but
fantastic.
verify. Love
Yeah,
that.
trust but verify.
Yeah.
Yep,
And
trust but
a big
verify.
norm on our team too is private disagreement, public unity, right?
Nice.
We are not always going to agree. We are going to push each other, and it's through challenge and conflict that we have our best moments of growth. But we're
Mm-hmm.
obviously not going to do that in front of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But it needs to happen. It's an important piece. But in order to do that, you have to build a strong culture of trust
Yes.
amongst the team.
And there's all kinds of studies out there too, and I can't quote one off the top of my head, but when the people that under you, the people that are working for you feel like they can trust you and that you're not going to be upset with them if they make a mistake, then they're like 10 times, 100 times, I don't remember the statistics. I probably have to look it up, but they are so much more willing to come to you and tell you that they've made a mistake. Because if you ridicule them or you make them feel bad about their mistake, they're never going to come to you again about a mistake. So you're cutting up your nose to spite your face, as my mama
Right.
used to say. If you're ridiculing people for making a mistake versus, okay, it's a teachable moment, let's figure out how to make it better, right? And then the next time that something happens, they're going to come to you again because, and I've had people come to me and tell me they did something and I was like, okay, yeah. It's like, did you fix it? Yeah. So onward. We go onward, and again, it goes back to that trust but verify and giving people the grace to make a mistake and learn from it. And I always tell people too, whenever there's a conflict, there isn't just one complete right answer. Everybody comes to it from their own perspective of, who I am as a woman, as a owner, as a therapist, as a mom, a wife. I have all of those things, and I take all of those things into every situation. So what I hear versus what my director of marketing, Mark Wallenwein, what he hears, because he's not a woman, and that's just one piece of it. There's so many, we just come with so many things. I always say the truth of what happened is probably somewhere in the middle, and we always say, I always so if someone comes to me and they're a school's upset with me or something, I'm sorry that happened. Let's figure out how we can make it better, So,
Right. I mean,
and
that
sometimes
identity
yeah,
piece.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
no, I was just saying and sometimes it is just let's recognize it and move on. And sometimes it's a change for us as a therapy company. It's a change of therapist. Sometimes, when mom's upset, there's no, and she has a right to her feelings, right? So we always want to just go, okay, the relationship is broken, but we're going to move on and we're going to provide somebody else. And I always tell that therapist, it's probably not anything that you did. It may have been taken out of context. It doesn't matter. The point is we want to make sure that that child still continues to get the services that they need. And if that trust is broken, you can't, so especially with the parents, it's too important. So,
Yeah.
so it's important to never sweep it under the rug.
Well,
So
that's what I was going to hit on is
yeah.
that sometimes when you don't listen to things and people hide them, it makes problems that are much harder to clean up. But also, like that identity piece is so critical because when we are managing and leading across lines of difference, like you said, people are going to see things from a different vantage point based on different identity markers that they may
Mm-hmm.
have. So the other piece of it is there may be people who don't feel comfortable coming to me to say, I made this mistake or whatnot. My hope is that I built a culture where they can come to each other, the person that they do feel comfortable with, and that person can say, "Oh, no, that's cool. You've got this," or "Actually, we need to go let Melody know. I can come
Right.
with you if you want." So the thing about it is it doesn't always have to be me. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that what for at least my leadership philosophy is that if I can be taken from the equation and it can still be solved, like the things still go on, then I've done my job, right?
Right.
If it
Right.
overly relies on me as a talking head, it's not an effective program. The systems are not there.
Well, that's such a good point. I'll tell you one more story from me. I got COVID and I think it was 22, January of 2022. And I had pneumonia. I was running my business and I was pushing through, not listening to my body, not, just trying to get through. And I got COVID pneumonia. I was bad. And I was down and out for 2 weeks. And that's when I knew Lighthouse was okay because it kept going, whether I was alive or well or whatever. My daughter picked up, we're a family company. So, and all of my whole team, they just rallied around what needed to be done and kept going and knew that they could. And that's truly, I mean, when you, as an entrepreneur, when you start something, it's like, if you don't give things away, your business is never going to grow. Right. It's the same philosophy. And so when that happened and I saw my team continue and do their jobs and without me overseeing them, I knew we were good. And it was amazing. It's an
Well, and
amazing
that's a
place to be.
testament to you. You built their capacity. I'm sure they weren't bothering you with questions. How do you do this? How do you do
They
that?
couldn't. I was in bed.
Yeah, but that's what it should be, right? Like people should be able to be allowed to be sick. Obviously, we don't want to, but that's, life. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that trust and being able to give away things
Mm-hmm.
hard
Exactly.
sometimes. And it might take a little bit more time too, because yes, the easy thing for some things is like, I'll just do it. It'll take me 2 seconds. But if I
Not
just
the
spend
best
that
way.
20 minutes to teach someone how to do it, then I don't have to do 20 seconds 10 times or
Right,
whatever.
exactly. Or 100 times, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
however many times.
exactly. All right, we are almost out of time. I probably have talked more than I should have, but it's been a great conversation. So, Melody, I thank you so much. I have one last question that I ask every single podcast guest that I have. I think I missed one. If you could miraculously solve one challenge in your school, what would you want to solve? Just boom, it's fixed. What would it be? Tough question, I know.
The gap in the achievement gap, for sure.
Mm,
Like, if all
awesome.
of our kids could start every grade on grade level, both academically, but social, emotionally, my gosh, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Good one. That's a really good one. Melody, thank you so much for your time. It has been an awesome conversation. Where should people go if they want to learn more about Melody Maitland or Capital City Public Charter Schools?
I mean, we Google us.
Yeah.
Yeah. See
Okay.
what comes up. That might be kind of fun. But I mean, Capital City obviously has a website which actually was just redone. So you can go there to learn more. All the staff bios are on there. And then I'm of course on LinkedIn. So if people want to connect that way, I'm happy to do
Fantastic.
that.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you again. And it has been a true pleasure.
Thank you. Likewise.